JD Note only plays 24 minutes before fouling out, but the Arkansas Razorbacks defeat the number 16 ranked Tennessee Volunteers by a score of 58-48 in a defensive battle. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. What a win. Great win. Oh, yeah, I do have to show the shirt. This shirt right here. You have to go buy one of these from Devo. Go find his Instagram or whatever. And go buy a Game Over shirt from Devo with him reverse dunking on an Auburn player that he had to blur out because he can't use his name, image, and likeness, but you know who it is. And so go ahead and grab that.
I guarantee you they're not going to appreciate that. Won't go unnoticed if we end up seeing them in the SEC tournament. You know what I mean?
There's shirts going on with that.
Yeah. Well, that there's shirts with, his crotch in that guy's face, dunking it to say game over.
Yes. But so biggest win that we've had since that win, Tennessee coming in here, and man, just the Razorbacks. Eric, I got to hear a little bit of the press conference afterwards from Musselman, and I think he said it perfectly. He said that the style of basketball that Arkansas wants to play is extremely difficult to play. You have to play super hard to be successful at the style of basketball they want to play, and that he believes nobody in the country plays harder than the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I think that that's likely true. And he's not wrong, because it's the kind of basketball that I've sort of played my whole life, because I wasn't the most skilled offensive player. But I do think that's right. It is a style of basketball that requires everyone to buy in and do it too. And they did it tonight, man. I mean, that was old school 40 minutes of hell kind of defense. I do, at this point, when you're looking at all the teams that Arkansas is holding their field goal percentage, I mean, they held Tennessee's field goal percentage to an abysmal level. I mean, Tennessee shot,
I think,
27.1% on the game. You might say, like, oh, they just didn't shoot the ball. But after a while, like, you're on a streak and everybody is getting held below 40%. Some of the low 30s are doing this kind of stuff. No, the truth is Arkansas makes you, they make you take shots you don't want to take. You can tell this is the case because the assists, Tennessee is a super high assist team. They had 5 assists the whole game as a team. You know what that means? That means that Arkansas is not letting you do any of the things that you want to do.
Yeah. No, that's definitely, I mean, we've talked about this before, but sometimes your defense is such that even when the team gets an open shot, your defense, they miss because of the defense that you've been playing up to that point. They haven't been able to get into a rhythm. They're, you know what I mean? When they're surprised when they get an open look.
One of the announcers made that point, which I thought was a pretty astute point, because I really agree with it, is that, there was one time where they got wide open corner look, so much so that the guy like shrugged, took a dribble, and then clanked it. And the problem is, like, man, you probably make that shot if you're just practicing like 90% of the time, wide open 3-point shot from the corner. But dude, you could tell that shot's not in rhythm. That shot, like, the offense is all janky. You're thinking about it now, and that's what defense does. Is it makes you blow stuff that you wouldn't normally blow because there's no flow going on.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, because like I said, defensively, Tennessee's a great team as well. And I think that happened. You saw that happen to us several times. I mean, ours wasn't so much shooting because we're not a great shooting team, but with bunnies, there was so much physicality every time someone touched the ball and so many hands slapping at it that, I think it was personified by Tony, because he was seeing
early on, we missed 2 wide open, just at the basket, no one around you shots. Fortunately, our defense was elite. Dude, the Hogs as a team got to stop messing up my guy Jalen Williams' assist numbers. How many assists did he get ripped off of tonight where you're like, oh, sick pass, dude, sick pass? And just no. I mean, at least four times where you were like, dude, that's a dope pass. You got to finish that.
Yeah. And it was, it was not just, like I said, I mean, it was everybody. I mean, Wade missed one, Amude missed one, but Tony
Yeah,
blew at least four, and it might have been five. I mean, and part of it was that he was seeing ghosts. Like he was expecting more contact or wasn't aware of how, and then some of them were literally just, I mean, that one reverse layup that he put up. I had that game at the community center Thursday where it's like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I shot that layup and that jump shot and that wide open 10-footer exactly the way I wanted to, and it just hit the back of the rim and came out. Get out of here. My cat. Sorry. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But
but Jalen Williams had 2 assists that game. He should have had at least 6.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that was.
I'm surprised he only had 2. Felt like he was running the offense 70% of the game.
He was, man. I guess we can get that away. I mean, Jalen Williams is the player of the game for sure, right?
Although Likes gets a big attaboy for the way he played the last 7 minutes. And it wasn't amazing, but it was good enough.
I thought Devo Davis played a huge role down the stretch. I mean, he had some big shots. I mean, he played an amazing defense, which he always does. He's such a freaky ball player. It feels
like with him, he shoots better when Note has been in foul trouble, and that it's like it relieves a little bit of that pressure. It's almost like that, how the ball, some wild shots go in at the end of shot clock sometime because you jack it up and you're like, hey, I mean, there's 2 seconds left. I've got to take this shot. It's not a bad shot. Normally it would be. And it feels like with Devo Davis, some of that pressure is relieved with, oh, I can take a 17-foot jump shot or a 3-pointer, even though that wouldn't be, if we were drawing it up, our offense wouldn't be like, hey, let's get Devo some long shots. But Note's out. The offense is struggling. It relieves some of that pressure, like, hey, somebody's got to do something. You know what I mean? And he seems to thrive.
Devo's a little bit clutch. Like he's a little bit that guy that it doesn't seem to bother him. Like those shots. He did that last year where the shot against Oral Roberts where he doesn't seem to mind taking that shot. And I think he's playing better. I think he's trending in a good direction as the season winds down. I think Likes is playing better. I thought everyone played. I mean, Tony, he left a lot of points out there, but
he still played good.
He played 37 minutes. He had 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. I mean, he played well. I'm sure there's some shots, and he had 8 points. I'm sure he feels like he should have had 14. But the
main thing about that was frustrating is now hindsight doesn't matter. It's like whatever. We won by 10, so it's fine. But when you were down by 1 with 10 minutes to go, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how many points we've left out here. And I know they left some points too, but it's like we should have. I don't know if they left open shots. And the thing is, like, you miss shots sometimes. So when people miss shots, it's not the same as missing wide open dunks and reverse layups that are like, no one affects. And like I said, Wade that one time hesitating too much. It's like, those are points that are absolutely gimmies, and you should have 8 of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you should, instead of being down by 1, we should be up by 7. And so if we had lost that game, those would have been really hard to swallow. But, I mean, ultimately,
Jalen Williams, 13 points, 16 boards, and played 40 minutes.
Yeah, he played amazing.
I mean, that he played the whole game. I think he did go out for like 30 seconds, and it rounded up to like 40 minutes, but he went out for like a brief second, and then I think he went out for a second when right before Note got his second foul, and he had to come, and then he just stuck him right back in. I think he literally had just sat down, and so it didn't even really count as against his minutes. Okay, so Note picks up his second foul in the dumbest way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that, dude. I need you on the floor, not with like 8.5 minutes left. No. I know you want to get that back, but no, not if you already have if you have no fouls, you can go dig. You can go dig. You can go dig if you have no fouls. you have one foul and there's 8.5 minutes left in the first half, I can't have you doing that.
What did you think about the last foul?
It's a foul. I mean, it's a foul if you're going by the book. It's not a foul that gets called that much.
I wonder though, because I mean, they said he pushed off with his arm, and he definitely had his arm up here like this, but he didn't extend it. And I wish that the NCAA and professional basketball, I wish they would have, because they have the different things where like we're putting an emphasis on flopping, or we're putting an emphasis on kicking your leg out of the 3-point line. And I wish they would put an emphasis on, guys, there are contact plays that are they're incidental contact. The ball is loose. 2 guys are trying to get it. They bump into each other. You don't have to call a foul.
Yeah,
don't feel like because bodies touch, you have to blow the whistle. And not only on that, but on charge plays too, because there was a lot of times, there was a lot of charges in this game. And some of those I felt like worse. They're like, that's the hardest call in basketball. And I'm like, add a third element there. When you can't tell who's there first, I would be fine with on some of those Jalen ones both ways. Like, don't feel like because you called the other one, you called 2 flops already, now you have to call the one, and because it's so close, no one can complain. If it's so close that you can't tell who took off first and who's sliding, just be like, I don't know. It's great defense and it's great offense.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's simultaneous contact. I'm not calling either one. That guy straight up.
Did Jalen have 4 offensive fouls drawn?
I can't remember.
He had at least 3 charges, and then I think he drew one where he
got hit in the face.
Did he get hit in the face? I don't know, but the guy got real close to his face. Maybe hit him in the face. I'm not exactly sure. Like when they slowed it down, I was like, I know you got hit in the shoulder, and did you just be like, I'm selling this because Jalen's a heady player? And I don't know.
He was acting like he got hit, because he was going, doing the am I okay? So I'm assuming he must have got it a little bit. But
But Jalen Williams better at drawing. Dude, if you're another coach and you were going to set up to play at Arkansas and you knew that, what would you say to your guard that likes to drive to the basket? Do not float, right? Like do not do it. Do not take off from here and think you're going to finish at the rim. Don't do it. He's going to freaking draw a charge on you every time.
Yeah, and I think it actually would be something that would behoove coaches to focus on and practice a little bit, because I don't think that you always have a huge advantage from leaving your feet generally. Generally, it puts you at a disadvantage. I mean, I know there's some times where when you're in that close of quarters, you're looking to draw that second defender. Obviously, you're looking to draw the center over. And sometimes it gets so down to the wire. I mean, it's almost like the handoff play with a quarterback and a running back on who's going to keep it or not, that it's the last second decision. And sometimes you almost have to leave your feet to draw him that final one step to dump it. But most of the time, I feel like you can, if you absolutely have to, instead of leaving your feet, can jump stop, head fake, and have pretty much the same effect. Like you'll get that center to, even if he doesn't leave his feet, get up on his toes to go after that head fake, and then you can do the same thing that you were going to do when you jump.
Especially if you're playing a guy. I mean, Jalen Williams hunts charges like Note hunts shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like looking for every possession. He's looking for it. He's like, if you come down here, I am. He lines you up, man. Jalen Williams sees it coming better than anyone I've ever seen. He can see when you get that look in your eye and you make that move, he is anticipating it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's part of his mind. I think that is correlated to why he's a good passer, is he has good court vision. He knows where everybody is. Like, and some guys just have a hard time with that abstract, like keeping track of where all the bodies on the floor are. And he can, at a glance, he's always glancing and just checking who's behind him, where the corner guy is. And he's just always aware. I mean, not always, but he's generally in the right spot.
Yeah.
He knows where it's
running the offense through him. I mean, the announcers were talking about it too. When Note wasn't on the floor, I couldn't believe that they were just letting him go get the ball in the high post and stuff. Just killing you from there. Like, just, you don't want him to have the ball there. You don't want him to shoot it from there. and you just don't want him to have the ball in that spot, period, because it's the best spot on the floor for him to direct the offense from.
And that was a little bit frustrating as an Arkansas fan in the last 2 minutes when we were bleeding clock, that they weren't giving him the ball.
Yeah,
we weren't giving him the
he
ball
wanted it
because
too.
he wanted it and he was open, and it was like, likes, stop dribbling for 1 second and pass him the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I mean, Likes was huge in the end of the game, but
that dude is. I mean, we've seen him get the ball stolen from him when he tries to split 3 defenders and stuff. But 1-on-1, that dude is hard to take the ball away from.
Yeah, and he's a good free throw shooter. There's no doubt about it.
By the way, do you know how difficult that pass that Jalen made from one corner of the court all the way down to the other corner of the court? You know how hard that pass is to make?
That was definitely ill-advised as well. I mean, it worked out, but that's the one that's typically a big no-no. That's the one that gets stolen, you know?
You can't throw the ball any further than that. You're going diagonally, like that's as much court as you can throw a ball. Mm-hmm. And he threw it looked like a quarterback. Like he threw that, it was just on a line, dude, and just dropped it right to him.
And I think, I mean, it probably was an okay decision because he saw that he had 2 guys back there and he kind of just threw it to that corner, and he knew it was, I mean, it's Tony and I think it was Devo. It's like, those guys are going to go get that ball. One of those guys are going to go get it. So as long as he didn't throw it 20 feet in the air into the bleachers, It was a pretty good bet one of those guys were going to go get it.
Yeah, I don't think I could make that pass.
Well, not especially. I watched it a second.
I don't even know if I can. I don't think I can throw the ball that far accurately.
Well, and like I said, if you go back and watch it, because I was watching it during the replay when they showed it, and this is why you shouldn't make this pass, is because you can, from that distance, you can really overthrow it or underthrow it. And he didn't have his feet fully set in the position that you would want to throw a ball like that, like to chuck a ball football style over your shoulder. He was leaning in a weird way and he didn't get his foot forward the way you would want.
No, it was all arm.
Yeah, I mean, which is, like I said, which is easy to make a mistake when you throw the ball like that.
Yeah.
Like if I set my feet and was able to step into a throw, I could make a semi-accurate throw to a guy like Tony, who can make up for a lot of error, but not kind of with guys in my face and kind of leaning back and falling with all my body energy, not going towards the pass. You know what I mean? That's when I'm going to use too much arm, use too much shoulder, and it's going to go sailing.
Yeah. I tell you what I did love too was we were just watching the defense. There was one play in particular where they're trying to kind of desperation come back, and Vincenzo or whatever his name, the guy's name is, they get him a look in the corner, and Tony just swats that 3-pointer out of there. It was so that was indicative of the game, right? Where it was like, man, this just ain't it. And the announcers were right about this too, where you're like, once you got up by 8, you're like, this thing's over. You ain't scoring 8 points.
Well, yeah, especially maybe if you had 12 minutes, but it's gonna be hard to score, 8 points and hold the other team in 4 minutes.
The point nobody could score. I mean, I'd have felt the same way if Arkansas was down. I'd have been like, this is not good, because we shot not a lot better than that, and we shot 30%.
Pretty bad.
We shot 5 of 22 from the 3-point line, 22%. They shot 4 of 24, 16%. And some of those threes that they were having to put up they're all contested. I mean, you saw Wade get out and get his hand on a 3-point. Some guy tried to shoot 3, and Wade recovered and said, nah. We had 2 threes blocked in this game. It was I do think that Arkansas is because these are good teams now. I mean, we've seen them do this against the top, some of the best teams in the country, and you do have to think Arkansas is an elite defensive team.
Yeah, and this game, I felt like I said, with 10 minutes left and we were down by 1, I was, go on that roller coaster ride of emotions, and I was getting depressed because I was stressing out, going, man, we got to win this game, because Florida just beat Auburn at home, and they are exactly what I said. Now they have hope, and they're desperate. They have no room for error to make the tournament. And I'm like, so that's going to be an absolute dogfight there. I mean, I would not. I mean, I'd say I'd give them the advantage on that one. They're going to be so much more desperate than we are. They're going to probably win that game, or at least have a really good shot at it.
No, whatever. We're gonna play the role of Alabama after we beat Auburn.
Maybe. But then Kentucky is definitely surging.
Yeah.
And then we got to go play Tennessee in their place, and that's going to be impossible. They're going to want revenge, and we got to go play LSU. At least it's at home, but again, another team that is desperate and wants revenge.
It's the toughest back end of the schedule in the country. I mean, a lot of people have said that. It's rough, man.
So this game, I was like, we're definitely have a good chance, an above 50% chance of losing a couple of these next games. And I definitely don't want to lose to Tennessee twice in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? I feel like this one was, we need to protect the home court. I mean, it's going to be tough with Kentucky coming in, but I'd like to win that one too. If you could win the rest of the home games, we'd be good to go. You know what I mean? You can afford to lose to Florida on the road and lose to Tennessee even on the road. If you could win, if you could beat LSU and Kentucky.
Well, I mean, even now in the SEC standings, it's starting to become a little bit of a jumbled mess, man. I mean, I'm gonna look at the standings here, and obviously there's still games going on, but let's see, pull them up real quick. So you've got Auburn now is 12-2 in conference. Kentucky's 11-3. Arkansas's 10-4. Or I guess 11-4 now. 11-4.
No. We were 9-4.
9-4. Okay, so 10-4. Tennessee is also 10-4.
Yeah,
and that's the top. After that, it's 7-7 all the way down, right? That's it. And so Kentucky, that game, because if on Tuesday night we go and we beat Florida, that Kentucky game becomes real big, because you're talking about who's going to be in second place after that game. So if you really want something to root for, which I'm sure you don't need in the Florida game, that Kentucky game becomes very significant at that point, because you can jump them.
And Kentucky's looking for that number one spot. They're going to need help from Auburn, but Auburn's proven vulnerable, and they could get it.
Well, Auburn has an easier time of it down the stretch. Auburn plays Ole Miss at home. You got to think they're going to win that game. They do have to go to Tennessee, so that's a tough one.
Be good. I'll be watching that.
Yeah, to Tennessee, and then they got to go to Mississippi State, and then they got South Carolina at home. So really, that you would think that the chance that Kentucky is looking for, they're looking for Tennessee to beat them.
Right, and then if they win out, they'd have it. Well, would Auburn? Would they be able to overtake them then?
No, because Auburn has a tiebreaker.
Okay, so they can't. So in that case, I'm probably rooting for Auburn against Tennessee, huh? I need Tennessee to get
out of my way. We're in a deadlock with them right now. I mean, we have a tiebreaker with them, but
and we have one more win overall, not in conference, but in non-conference. I don't know how much that matters, but we've played one more game than they have.
Well, I think we're 21-6. Tennessee is 19-7.
But we played one. Yeah, so we played one more game, right?
2 more games.
Oh, okay. I wonder if did they have COVID stuff or something?
Maybe.
Well, but at any rate, yeah, it'd be nice if we do lose to Tennessee when we go play them, it'd be nice if Auburn had already knocked them down one more notch. So that wasn't then what's the second tiebreaker? If you split in the season and your conference record's the same, is it points scored?
I don't know. I mean, you have
win differential maybe.
I mean, I don't know if it goes to then East and West, and they do that. I don't know I'm not sure what they do. But
I think it's either points scored or win differential, one of those two.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't go to overall record till they're really looking at your conference, right? They don't really care about the rest of it for the conference tournament seeding. But either way, what you really want to do is be in that top 4.
Do you think Florida winning against Auburn? I guess that's probably bad for us, huh? It'd probably been better if Florida had lost
No, well,
They
no, I
it
think
would
it
make
makes them. I think it makes them. Florida. I'm glad they beat Auburn because I think it means like they'll be when the brackets come out when the bracketology comes out on Monday, Florida will be in, and they were out. Now they'll have motivation to stay in, but the desperation on Florida playing Arkansas, if they had just lost to Auburn, a loss to Auburn wouldn't have hurt them dramatically because they're not supposed to win that game.
mm-hmm.
Arkansas is the game that they're like, that's the game we have to win. But they got one that they weren't supposed to win, a huge one, one that slips them in, I think. So you are playing a less desperate Florida team. But like they should still feel a ton of desperation. They should still feel like they don't want to lose that game. I'm sure they will, but it's impossible for you not to have, oh, good, we got like this just huge quad one. You almost can't have a bigger win, we got that.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I mean, I kind of feel like if they lost to Auburn, they would be
they're demoralized and they're just like, you know what, it's not going to happen. But
well,
they had to have thought that they were going to like not no one think you always think you can win, but it's not that demoralizing if you lose to the number 2 team in the country.
No, but their record is such that that was a game, that was a season-saving win, and which means if they lose, it's like it's not that they would have quit on the season. It's just that it would feel like that you can just tell. Like I feel like they'd be like, well, yeah, this isn't our season, and basically, if we're going to make the tournament, because it's like now our losses are. Now we have to win 2 games just to get to 500, and that would include beating Arkansas. And it just feels like it's starting to like the weight's starting to push the other direction. It's like basically, guys, we have to win the SEC tournament if we're going to get into the but so like this regular season thing is kind of over, and almost like maybe we should save our energy for a run in the tournament because they're a good enough team to surprise some people, especially if if somebody knocks off a Kentucky or something and they get a easier road or something. But I don't know. It's hard to tell either way.
It's I think what happened to Arkansas, we beat Auburn, had this huge emotional high, didn't play very good against Alabama after that.
Yeah.
The same thing could happen. The difference is that we had to go on the road right after that. I guarantee you, if our next game would have been Alabama coming into Bud Walton, we don't lose that game. That place would have been bananas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean more about the fans. Like the fans were there for that. I mean, they stormed the court.
No, the swamp is going to be nuts. Like they just be the number 2 team in the country. It's gonna it's gonna be a sellout. It's gonna be crazy.
Whereas if they lost,
that is a difference.
I feel like if they lost, it's a little bit of a gut punch for the fans, especially if that game had played out exactly that way, and then Auburn had won, and that like they were all ready to storm the court. If Auburn had made a shot, by the way, Auburn's I know we're talking about a different team or whatever, but that was a terrible possession. Like put that ball up and let that 7-footer rebound it. That was to him, and
that was some Arkansas at the end of the Alabama game kind of possession. What is going on?
Only worse. At least we got a shot up, even if it was a bad one. There's nothing worse than 1-point game. You could go out. I mean, this could be a big win here. I mean, this is there's no overtime. There's no way you're gonna win or lose, and you don't even get a shot at the basket.
Yeah.
There's just nothing worse than that.
But that dude drove right into a wall. I mean, they were like, there's not going to be a penetration. You can forget about that. They built a wall right across the free throw line, and that dude left his feet.
And then tried to pass it to the big guy. He should have thrown that up and let him try to go get it. Like, I mean, whatever.
Run a play. I mean, if you ever, by the way, Musselman's still not calling timeouts ever.
I know. He's like, why would I call timeouts? There's media timeouts. Our games are on
insane. TV. I wonder if I'm sure this stat exists somewhere. I wonder if Musselman's called the fewest timeouts of any coach in Division I basketball this year.
Maybe, because the thing that's crazy about it, like I said, I mean, I know that especially like in the NFL, there's coaches that are like, I don't care what happens. if I need a game-winning drive, I'm keeping my timeouts. You guys are on your own. I'm not calling timeouts.
I'll take a delay. I'll take a delay a game. I'm not doing it.
Right. I'm keeping these. I'm hoarding these like a miser for that last second thing when I need them. Musselman doesn't even do that.
It's like Musselman doesn't. He's like, I don't believe in timeouts.
It's like also like it'd be funny if it seems like what is the incentive? Is there something I don't know about where like if you haven't used a certain amount of timeouts, he gets a bonus or something?
I guarantee
like
you. I guarantee if you ask Musselman, hey, would you be in favor of a rule change that says you get one timeout per game? He'd be like, yeah, let's do that. He's just like, he doesn't want you got one other teams calling timeouts. I don't want any of that going on. I mean, there's times where I'm like, for sure, he's calling a timeout. Nope. Other teams going on a run. Nope. Like if he calls a timeout, it's a big thing. You're like, oh my gosh, he called a timeout, man. Well, we must be really falling apart.
I've never heard anybody ask him about that, but it does seem like, conspicuous, like something that's pretty glaring that he doesn't, that he always has all his timeouts at the end of the game. I mean, I guess when they're on TV, he's just like, hey, we get these big long media timeouts. That's enough, and I think that's why he plays his guys the way he does.
He believes that his guys, even though he only plays 7-8 guys, he thinks his guys are less tired at the end of games. He wants to wear the other team out. He doesn't want them to rest. He believes that his guys don't need to rest, and that the other teams guys do need to rest. And that's it. I think that's the whole philosophy. Is like, I want to keep this insanity that we have going on the defensive end just going and going and going, and have you just snowball into more mistakes and stuff. Like, I don't want to give you any opportunities to think about it or change it. And I will say at the end of games, by the way, for a short rotation like Muss always has, we don't look tired.
I know. I can never believe it.
Like, we don't look tired at the end of games.
Well, like, I mean, we talked about that during the Auburn game. Like, I couldn't believe how hard they played and that they still had legs,
It's ridiculous. But, well, great win, man. That's a big one. That's a really big win. It's I mean, I think a lot of places have Arkansas projected as a 6 seed. I don't know if that jacks you up the rankings, but just looking at the schedule, I think it helps you if you lose some, like, try to maintain it, because I really think 6 is way better than 7 and 8, and so I would love to be 6 or higher. You fall below the 6 and things get more difficult, especially in the second round if you're lucky enough to, if you're fortunate enough to get there. So
like I said, right now, I mean, so far they've managed to weather several games with Note in foul trouble, which is great practice for the tournament, getting other guys to have to step into those roles. The only thing I'm saying Hail Marys about right now is just injury, like because of how hard those guys play and because of how tight that rotation is. Let's not have any injuries in these next couple of games and in the SEC tournament.
And we've been really fortunate with injuries this year. I mean, it just hasn't happened.
I know.
I mean, Jalen Williams was dinged up a little once. Kamani Johnson was hurt, but he's not playing that much anyway. But for your big pieces, we have not had to deal with that. And I mean, other than, and the one time we did have to deal with not an injury, but you had COVID with Note. That was not good.
It sucked. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for that, you got to think we'd at least have one more win and one less loss, So, Yep.
All right, man. Well, I am excited for Tuesday, man. I will say this, man. Florida beating Auburn makes that game more exciting in the sense that you're a little more nervous. I'm always nervous about going to Florida or really going anywhere on the road, but Florida especially. I also have like some kind of special hatred for Florida. I don't know why it is, but I don't like Florida. And so, the fact that they won just kind of amps it up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, this has been a great end of this. I mean, this season's been fun, dude. I mean, it hasn't been the best offensive, team to watch. Like this Tennessee game was very, frustrating and ugly at times, but it is, other than like the Missouri game, it's just amazing. The Auburn game was like huge, and then the Alabama game was huge, and then Missouri felt like a little bit of a break, but then this game felt huge. This next game, like looking down the road, like these games all feel humongous. I mean, it already feels almost like tournament style stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't really remember a season where it was like that in the recent, because like I said, sometimes you just have these years where like Kentucky or Tennessee or Florida are just like so much better than everybody else. But like the league's really tight right now. You know what I mean? I mean, I know there's a few, like the top 3 or 4 have kind of separated a little bit, but it just feels like every game for every team is huge, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you feel like with the team that you have, again, props to Muss for figuring it out, because he's figured out something great with how he's going to have this team play, and the way that this team plays, it travels, and it translates really to any team, because their whole style. Not that you're going to win every game or anything, but if you're just going to play like, hey, we play harder than our opponent. Maybe we lose sometimes because they score more points than us, but we will not be. We're not going to be out efforted. That's good, man, because that travels on road games. That travels to neutral sites, and it makes you feel like going into any game, you're like, we could.
Yeah.
Like it depends, like how. You don't, because you are talking about college kids. Kentucky looks great right now. They look great. Is Arkansas the best defensive team in the conference? I think they are. And so I would say we'll see. That's a huge game. I think that Kentucky hasn't faced a defense as good as Arkansas, because I don't think there is one in the SEC.
Right. Yeah, it'll be fun.
So, all right, man. Well, I will see you on Tuesday. Everyone go to Devo Davis's Instagram, find the link, order your shirts, help a dude out now that they're allowed to do that kind of stuff. And all right, man, I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, dude. See ya.
Devo Davis only plays 24 minutes before fouling out. The Arkansas Razorbacks defeat. You mean that? Sorry, what did I say? Devo Davis. That's not what I want to say. That's not even close. Let me try again. Name my start over. Let me start over. Because it's on my shirt. It's because that shit. It's because you get that shirt and you got that on your mind. That's what it was. Can't wait to show everybody the shirt. That's what it is.